magnificent position for him to be in. The Mothership core has run out of energy, likewise with the sentries, but the pure amount of damage from Vortix's army, I feel maybe too much if he keeps on blinking well, which he is.
That is it. The Mutalisks also sacrificing themselves once again, microing back and forth, but the blink is too much here. Vortix takes it. GG for game number 2.
Wow.
Which is a bit weird, as I said before. Oh, nice force field, trapping a whole couple of Zerglings in the middle of the map. He's going to be able to get rid of all of those for free again.
Only one of them detonated, though there is another one, and I'm not sure if Fred knows that. And a massive detonation, and that was what we were talking about. And just Marines left, and Red is just smashed here.
Such a strong army moving forward here. The Banelings are caught behind the roaches. He spreads all of his units in turn.
Yeah,
There's too many Marines left. They're going to fend them off. There you go. GG.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to day 2 of the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. Yesterday we saw some very exciting games. We had both Group A and Group B. Yonghua is moving on from Group A, followed by Parting Inertio, and moving on from Group B we have Yoda, Rhett, and First. Yonghua and Yoda are of course going straight to the quarterfinals, excuse me. Group C we have coming up today is some of my favorite gamers. We have Socke, Snoot, and Sting, Mana, Vortix, and a personal favorite, Violet. I also want to take a moment to thank all our incredible sponsors who are making this event possible. We have a private group on Raid Call if you'd like to join and discuss the event as it happens. That group number is 1997. Feel free to tune in. We might even have some of our personalities joining you for discussion. Also want to thank BenQ for their brand new monitors, which we are debuting at this event, as well as the free HD stream. So thank you so much. Patriot Memory also, and of course, Intel, which we would not be the Intel Extreme Masters without. I also want to say a special thank you to Trevor Torchhausen. I know this is a little weird, but today is our 8-year anniversary, and without him, I would not be a part of esports. So thank you, Trevor. Moving on, I would love to bring out our first match of the day. We have Socke versus Vortix. So please help me welcome your countryman, Socke, to the stage. Socke, you're wildly popular here in Germany. I know so many Germans are huge fans. Do you have anything that you want to say to your fellow countrymen?
Well, first of all, greetings. I hope you enjoy the tournament and the HOTS and my play. yesterday X-Lord and S-Ups didn't do too well for our national scene, and yeah, I hope I can do better.
And thank you so much. Also, please welcome to the stage Socke's opponent, Vortix. Now, we gave Socke the chance to address his countrymen, but you have the biggest following with your brother in Spain. So please, would you like to address the Spaniards?
Well, they know they have my that I'm completely thankful to them for their support, so there's not much to say.
Incredible. Gentlemen, please shake hands, and let's get the first match of the day underway. I'm going to hand it over to our analysts, Jurasar, Harstem, and QXC.
All right, guys, welcome to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship, day number 2. We're going to be getting Group C started for you, and we have a pretty cool PvZ to start things off. QXC already bouncing around in his seat, getting ready for Socke versus Vortix. How's it going?
So disappointed.
Harstem.
Man, I'm happy. Socke.
I really wanted to see Sting. I was
Sting Violet.
I was ready for that, but had a little bit of a trouble there. But hopefully we will see that maybe later today. But
for sure.
What do you know about Socke and Vortix's style kind of in that matchup?
I know Socke is really unpredictable. He can open Gateway Expand, he can open Forge Fast Expand. He can basically do anything. I remember one MLG he beat Dongregu 3-0 or 2-0, 3-1, something like that.
Yep.
And no one expected it, because Socke is the guy that everyone always seems to forget. You're like, oh, and Socke is there, and then Socke goes 5-0 in his group, wins the... he hardly ever wins tournaments, I feel like. He always gets like 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, he placed quite well at Katowice and did kind of what you said. Like, people like looking at very specifically like, oh, Parting's going to take this, and people like that, and then Socke was like, I think I'll go to the semifinals.
Yeah, he's didn't Socke quite famously say it's actually better to get like a first place and 2 top 32 finishes than to consistently finish like 3rd or 4th or something like that. But the fact is, he is good enough and he's consistent enough to take those places, and I think he needs to give himself a bit of credit for that, really. Like he just has, even if people are forgetting about him, he has that consistently strong showing, and that's what makes him such a dangerous opponent.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then Vortix, he's been doing really well late 2012. I haven't really heard much of him the last 3 months, but well, there weren't that many tournaments. Did he go to Katowice?
No, I don't think so.
Don't remember. I'm afraid wasn't around for that one. There.
But yeah, Vortix, we haven't really seen much of either of these players in Heart of the Swarm, so it'll be interesting to see what they do. I wonder if Vortix is going to play more like Rhett in the Swarm host style that we saw, or if he's going to play a little more like Nurchio and
like Slivko.
Yeah, Slivko.
I think Vortix is going to play a little bit more like Slivko. They always had. I think Vortix was a little bit more aggressive always with roaches, so we might see some roach pressure and maybe some more infestors than Red used. But yeah, I'm really curious. And Socke, man, this guy's really creative. He's really smart. He always has his own builds and he trusts in them. And I trust in his build.
Well, we remembered, of course, yesterday we were talking about how for quite a lot of the time there weren't too many Zergs that were really utilizing the new units like the way they were supposed to be used until we basically got to Rhett's games, where we saw how he was using those swarm hosts moving around the battlefield and really putting a lot of pressure on his opponents. I wonder if Vortix would have maybe taken a look at that and possibly incorporate some of those ideas into his own play. I mean, he must have been checking it out. He must have been watching. He was here with his brother after all.
He was definitely here yesterday. I know he was playing some games, getting warmed up on the Heart of the Swarm server that we have access to here, but I don't know. I don't know how much he took away. Maybe he didn't really watch those games. Maybe he paid close attention. We'll just have to see.
Yeah, and so for anyone wondering, by the way, why we're currently on Heart of the Swarm when the release date is next week, this is the world's first Heart of the Swarm tournament. We're using a client that's sort of halfway between the beta and the gold, just refining it, and we're going to have the release basically just after the end of this tournament. So many thanks to Blizzard for giving us this opportunity and bringing the World Championship to you guys here in CeBIT. It's going to be a very exciting day.
Yeah.
So guys, there's another matchup this morning I want to talk about.
Okay.
Apparently, and you're going to like this because there's a Terran in it.
Okay, I'm excited. I'm ready.
There was a TVP this morning.
Yep.
And a certain Harstem took on a QXC. And there may have been a couple of games played. Not live on stream, but definitely on the stage. I know Harston was outside on the stage. Why don't you guys... in fact, just to make sure this doesn't descend into an argument, I'm going to let you guys go one after the other. QXC, why don't you tell us what happened in the 2 games you played?
I can't believe you did a proxy robo in warm-up games before we started. Are you serious?
Man, I needed to warm up.
And you did it after you skipped the first stalker to proxy a robo. Like, how much more obvious could you be? And then you put it in the obvious spot on Cloud Kingdom.
It looks like... There is going to be a Game 3 at one point. These guys are tied up 1-1. We'll make sure to keep you guys posted there throughout the day. But for now, our players are in the lobby. Socke versus Vortix is going to be our first game of the day, and we're going to throw it over to our commentators. We have Apollo and Kalaris.
Thanks very much, guys. Welcome to the commentary desk here for day 2 morning. I am here with Apollo. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. Had a nice bit of rest. Not so happy about the game last night, the Manchester United game, but that's that one sport out the way, and another one comes in today. It's time for some esports action.
It is indeed. Socke versus Vortix. Vortix having only played around 200 games after talking to him for the Heart of the Swarm beta, but still he is one of those players in the European scene that's taken off completely during Intel Extreme Masters, having placed very well at Singapore as well as Cologne. So, I mean, he can really do anything here.
I believe so. He had a great season this season in the Intel Extreme Masters. On the other hand, though, likewise did his opponent. So we'll have to find out who's going to win the first game of the day here.
Yep, so we are going to be jumping right on in to Metropolis for our first game, as we do have spawning up to the northern position here as our red Zerg. He goes by the name of Carontes Vortix. And spawning down to the south as our blue Protoss, a very, very strong German powerhouse in the form of ATN Socke.
And Socke and Wings of Liberty, as Harston mentioned, very unpredictable. Already a pylon inside his main base. Could very easily be a Nexus first, very easily could be a Gateway Expand. Gateway Expand's becoming quite popular in Heart of the Swarm due to the nature of the Mothership core. You're able to harass with it, with Stalkers and Zealots early on to keep and put the pressure on to the Zerg player, but anything is possible here from Socke. But with such an early scout, it's not really going to be a Nexus, as you want as much money as possible usually if you are going to save that up, but we'll see.
And meanwhile, Vortix here just cranking out as many drones as he can do. No early pulls from him. He'll probably just swing straight on into the standard conformities that we normally see from the Zerg here. But again, you've got to wonder how much Socke's really been playing Heart of the Swarm. He was in a training camp with the likes of Hasu Obs, as well as people like Nomi in Germany, training for quite a while before this tournament. And you've got to imagine that those guys have constantly been talking about just this tournament.
Yeah, I think they spent 8 days in a training house. Socke, Hazuobs, and I'm not too sure the other guys were. There was a couple of them. It was like 3 to 4 players. And that's actually boot camping, training houses, whatever you want to call it, is really good practice before a tournament. You play a lot more games, you discuss, you eliminate the process of elimination because you're all discussing it and improving at a much faster rate. So we'll see if that's going to pay off here for Socke, as Vortix right now attempting to get this hatchery down, which he does. But Vortix is interested to know your thoughts on it as well, Claris. Is that Vortix very much so was a solid Zerg player in the mid stage of the game, but always relied heavily on Broodlord Infester in Wings of Liberty. Will he play a similar style in Heart of the Swarm?
Will he? That's the question. We've already seen people like Slivko fall back on that very, very heavily. And, Vortix, I wouldn't be surprised if he did so. There were certain waves of aggression that he would use in the mid-game, obviously, but it was more against Terran, really, than the Protoss side of things. And coming up against Socke here, he has to be prepared for pretty much anything, as he's a wild child indeed.
Yeah, and we don't actually see gas coming down from Vortix yet because he hasn't scouted anything. He's blindly just taking this third base. He's expecting a normal Protoss style here, and the Overlord is about to go ahead and see that Nexus is relatively late, and he's going to have to throw down gas. He's going to have to get Zergling speed here, because if any gateway attacks come in, Zerglings without speed will simply die. And now the Zerglings have seen it, and this is where we're actually going to start to see Vortix react and mold better to his opponent in this game.
Yeah, indeed. With the Queens on the way, gas now going down just to make sure he can probably get that speed out after realizing that this Nexus is a little bit later than one would have expected. Chrono boosting, well, no Chrono boost going down on any kind of warp gate tech just yet either. But Socke for now, just cranking out a lot of probes, and there goes that Mothership core on the way now.
Socke, with the Mothership Core, as you said, is going to be used for harassment alongside the Stalker and the double Zealots that we have out here. And Socke, I mean, if you look at his Wings of Liberty career, was never a major hitter in tournaments. Was always a very consistent top 16 kind of finisher. And his best result actually came very recently with a 3rd and 4th place in IEM Katowice. Probably got that wrong again.
That was good, actually.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. But in Germany, he's a champion. It's as simple as that. He's multiple champions in the EPS, the German-only Cup. But how is he going to transition over to Heart of the Swarm here? And starting off relatively aggressively with adding on a couple of extra gateways. And there go the Zealot Stalker. And the Mothership Core should be on its way as well.
Finishing that wall in, and as you said, Socke doing so well at Katowice. Likewise, Vortix in the European scene, in Premier tournaments, he's always got these top finishes. Just discount the Intel Extreme Masters results for a second. He finished 2nd at the WCS Europe Finals. He constantly finishes in these top 3, 4, 2 spots. And a little bit of Surround going down, but he's never able to claim that title. So will this be his opportunity? We're about to find out. We're not a good start for this harassment here as the two Zealots get surrounded. The Stalker and Mothership Core will beat all these Lings though, so we will have to retreat. But we do have Zergling speed roughly 40% on its way. And with more Lings coming out here, they will be able to deflect this back, but there's quite a few gateways coming down, not only on the natural, but inside the main base as well here. Going up to a total of 4 gateways, there's a probe, there's a pylon, and this harassment is starting to elevate itself a little bit. Yeah, it really is. Those Zerglings weren't able to deal with that one pylon at all. Zealots warping in on the high and low ground so that he can continue to actually keep that pylon in play here, with Forge going down as well. So Socke is not relying on this entirely, but this little bit of harassment that we're seeing here is going to kill off a few drones and really be able to kind of seal a little bit of harassment deal at this 3rd. That's right here. And the thing is, without the +1 attack, these Zealots aren't as good as they would be usually here. And we have the Zealots being kind of destroyed here with the amount of Lings that we have coming out. And Vortix is going to hold this with relatively ease. And Socke just barely manages to get that Mothership Core out of there, so saving a little bit of gas in turns for now. Still more Zerglings actually flood out. Vortix, though, he did admittedly get forced a lot of Zerglings there, so he's still at 34 drones to the 40 probes. But still, he's going to be able to clean this up and then do whatever he wants with the Zerglings. Another time warp does come down, but as you said, these Zerglings will eventually pick off everything that's there here, as the Zealots do not have any upgrades, as we see +1 on the way, and we're going to have to start to see a follow-up from Socke. You can't just rely on this alone. There has to be a robotics facility coming down, or I think robotics facility is the only thing that can come down, to be honest here. He doesn't really have much scouting information on what Vortix is doing behind it. He'll obviously want to shoot towards an observer as fast as possible here, but nothing coming down yet here from Socke. And meanwhile, still a lot of Lings in production here for Vortix. He is going back into droning admittedly, but looking to clean this up. And whoa, Socke. That's a lot of gateways extra. Yeah, I mean, right now he's about to get cleaned up outside Vortix's base, but he's just thrown down extra gateways here, and I'm not quite sure if Vortix saw those extra gateways. This is rather intriguing for Socke not to follow it up with a robotics facility. Maybe he feels he's over-invested in this and he needs to continue through with it. The Mothership Core's got to be very... Oh, dearie me. Not so good, not so good at all. Second one's going to start here whilst he hallucinates a Phoenix, trying to go for a little bit of a scout from that point on. But, I mean, 2 of the gates got spotted that were being created extra. Now, does Vortix read into that and say, well, you know, why are you adding these extra gateways here on these 2 bases? Although, that being said, he doesn't have full intel right now on his opponent's 3rd. So I think that Vortix is going to try and spot that out pretty soon. Yeah, I mean, Vortix's vision, he's seen 6 gateways being added on in total now. He's seen no 3rd base. He has to realize that something's going on. So with going Spire, he's probably going to have to either forget building Mulus or start to drone up on his natural and forget the 3rd base. So decisions need to be made here, and the Spine Crawlers are coming down. Where are they, though? They are on the natural and the 3rd. So he's going to attempt to defend in a couple of locations here. The Lings have not got any upgrades. There's no Evolution Chamber in this game. Mutilus will help because it is mostly Zealot Stalker. And he has 900 gas in the bank. Still going to be close, though. It may be. Warp Prism's on the way here to try and open up angles for harassment. Good force fields, we're able to lock down a few of those Zerglings, but most importantly, save the pylon to kick things off here, as he will try and find a little bit of motion here in the middle of all of these bases. They haven't been connected fully by creep, so there is room to actually put on some pressure, and he has a lot of force fields actually still saved up on these sentries.
And we're actually seeing the Mulus being forgotten here. He's going straight over to 14 Hydralisks, and great hallucination here with these Immortals. I mean, tanking a bit of damage, but look at that. The focus fire from the Spine Crawlers goes over to the real units here, and are these Hydralisks popping out going to be enough?
I don't know, 5 on the way, 20 more Zerglings go down the force field on the ramp, as well as the Time Warp, trying to shut down some of these Hydralisks. Some flood in from the other side, but so many units are actually being warped in here. Vortix, as it feels, is in trouble. He pulls the drones off as he tries to defend this as best he can do, but he's losing quite a lot of drones. He wants to save the Mothership Core as well, trying to pick up with the Warp Prism, saves a few Stalkers, and from this point on, well, you know, Vortix still has a lot choked up on that ramp.
Yeah, I think he's going to be okay there. Once he breaks this main ramp with 7 more Hydras on the way, there's Spines on the 3rd base as well. I don't think we're going to see him in too much trouble here. The Stalkers and Sentry Zealots do have this +1 attack over the Hydras, but the more time that's given here to Vortix to use his production to make more units, he will eventually overwhelm his opponent. He did lose a lot of drones, which hurts his income, so Socke, I think, needs to play this patiently with force fields and not look to overcommit.
And that's a pretty darn good set of force fields there, locking a lot of Zerglings in the back, trying to separate those Hydralisks from the Zerglings at the back there, even warping in some Zealots once again to try and tank as much as he can do against these Hydralisks, and he's going to actually kill off a ton of them, taking a 30 supply lead as well. Socke, there you go. GG. Well, not a bad game won there by Socke at all. After that 4-gate aggression, I thought he was a little bit down and out and having to recuperate from some losses, but he managed to hit that 8-gate pretty well.
From one attack to another attack there, just consistent aggression coming out from Socke. And his force fields were good in those fights there, which leaded into a victory. But a surprising choice of strategy coming out from Socke in game number 1. And I'd be interested to see what those guys have to say.
Yeah, so we'll send it over to the analysis desk, guys, with QXE, Harstem, and Jorazar.
All right, guys, we had a pretty quick game number 1 there on Metropolis. Definitely a lot of action early on here on day 2 of the Intel Extreme Masters. We saw some interesting strategies come out there, and I think the first question really has to be, Harstem, we saw that basically we decided to go for the Spire pre-Evo chamber on Vortix's part. What's the thinking behind that, and did it work? Like, is there anything else he could have done there? Was it better for him maybe to go the other way?
Okay, so I think Vortix had this strategy prepared for this map, or at least he had a strategy prepared. He skipped Evo chamber, skipped Roach Warren, and I think the main mistake that Vortix made in the last game was that he didn't get a Roach Warren. He scouted 2 extra gateways with his Overlord, but I don't think he noticed them. So he thought he was playing against 4 gateways and a Forge, which there could be some tech hidden, like a Robotics Bay, maybe even, or a Twilight Council. Yeah. He didn't see it, so he went for the Spire. He wanted to stick to his plan. Socke, on the other hand, just went for an 8-gate and then did something really cool that we want to show right now.
Yes, definitely. Let's hop straight into the replay, guys. We're going in just shy of the 12-minute mark here, where we see Zocke's first major push into the natural expansion.
Yeah, and he hallucinated 3 Immortals to tech the shots from the Spine Crawlers. He has a really squishy army with only sentries and a few Zealots, so if he wouldn't have done this, the sentries would have died immediately, the force field would not have been able to go down, and this would have been a really hard fight for Socke. But now that he can reinforce with the Warp Prism and all the sentries still alive, he lost 1 or 2. He's in a really good spot, can force field the ramp, and with the Stalker reinforcement was able to close this game. So
it seems like from what we were talking about is basically Vortix just misread what Socke was doing, and if he had transitioned into Hydras a little bit earlier, he would have been able to defend that.
I think if he would have thrown down a Hydra, then the moment he saw the 2 gates, or the moment he realized he was going to get all in a bit earlier, or instead of a Spire, a Roach Warren, or Hydra, then I think he would have been just fine.
All right, well, pretty cool play coming out of there from Socke. Vortix not able to defend at the natural. Let's see how he switches his play up in game number 2 as we head over to our commentators, Galaris and Apollo.
Thanks, guys. Game 2, Entombed Valley is our map here, as we have Socke able to prevail against the Zerg on game number 1 in impressive fashion, gotta say.
Lots of aggression coming out from Socke here, and we'll see if he keeps this upbeat tempo going into map number 2. As mentioned, will be Entombed Valley. More of a passive defensive map here for Protoss, usually against Zerg, but anything's possible here in Heart of the Swarm.
So we'll be jumping on in just a second, but you're right. I mean, if you've been training with people like Hatsuobs for the longest time, he is a player who generally will like to go for a 1 gateway expand into a 3rd base on this kind of map. So Vortix and Socke now facing off. Let's jump into game number 2. As we do have spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner here as our blue Protoss, currently 1 game up. He goes by the name of Etienne Socke. And spawning up to the top right-hand corner as our red Zerg, looking to bring things back. He goes by the name of Carontes Vortix.
And Vortix, as mentioned, he did have a very successful season here at Intel Extreme Masters, grabbing 2 top 4 finishes in Cologne and Singapore. Very, very consistent. Not quite as high finish in Poland, but we'll see what he's going to do here at the World Championship. Lots of money on the line, lots of prestige, and of course this is the first Heart of the Swarm tournament, so we'll see how he's going to do. Socke, though, looking like he may be doing the same here, sending out a probe scout after the pylon, and could be looking here for a 14 gateway. And as mentioned, with him staying in the same house as Hatsuobs, this is how Hatsuobs opens up the majority, if not all, of his games against Zerg, looking to put a bit of pressure on and keep the pressure on to prevent the Zerg from just doing what they want in the early stages.
Yep, not a bad idea, as you really are, you're forcing the Zerg to play to you. You're not allowing them to really fly away with the game, and with that it really does lend itself very, very nicely to you dictating the game fully. And Socke here, well, the probe's still sharking around, just waiting for the drones to come out to see if he can deny any positioning of a hatchery, but actually he's going to let the drone just waddle on past for now.
That's right here, and whichever way that Vortix takes this, whether he actually won't even get the hatchery down. Bit of an annoyance there. This one probe's going to delay by a good 20 seconds here.
That was perfect timing. He went down there as it hit 300 minerals. So really nicely done. Does get the hatchery down in the end thanks to the 2 drones actually harassing him. But behind that, he gets his Nexus down. So very, very even right now.
Yeah, it is. And I was talking about how no matter what Vortix does here, whether he goes for 3 bases or takes an extractor early on like this, depending on the scale of defensiveness that we see coming out from Vortix, which the probe is going in to scout, we'll see the aggressiveness turn down a little bit. For example, if he spots no gases whatsoever, he'll continue to poke up with Zealot Stalkers. If he had spotted that gas, though, he obviously has a timing inside his head when Zergling speed is going to be completed, how long he has to do damage, and when to back out. But upon not seeing that, could be in a bit of trouble if he puts on a lot of pressure, that is.
Could be, could be. Second gas is on the way for Socke as well. Pretty standard at this point here just to grab that. But, you know, it still lends itself very, very nicely to getting a few more of those gas units, maybe a sentry or 2, but probably just going to be the Stalker and Mothership core just to try and poke at least. And Zergling has indeed spotted his Nexus going down, so Vortix also knows pretty much what's going on right now.
Yeah, he does, and we actually have a probe moving out too from Socke to look for that 3rd base to see if it's been taken or not, and upon not seeing the 3rd base he will realize that gas has been taken, so his limitations on aggression are there, as he does not see that. Mothership core on the way though, but without being aggressive on the map too much here, which we will see a little bit come out, as the probe will want to pile on and gateway up momentarily for defensive and also aggressive reasons. Socke has the option to tech as well.
That probe was slightly hidden against those rocks, but the Zergling does spot it, and in fact Vortix shows his opponent that he saw it, so he's going to try and nibble away at that as best he can do. But there is still another probe on the map, Socke just with probes everywhere. And Warpgate now on the way. A few Zerglings being mixed in for Vortix as he realizes that there was the potential of his opponent having to poke across the map. After seeing the Mothership core, he might assume that that is indeed the case.
And, well, Socke has this probe. The layer's on the way again here from Vortix. The pressure's about to come in, but this is a very interesting play here from Socke. He's displaying signs of aggression, yet not fully committing to it, with only a single gateway being produced. So he's only going to go up to 2 gateways, and he has a forge coming down. So it's more of a fake out than anything here, as we see 8lings on the way, a Roach Warren coming down too, and a very, very small drone count, only at 30 drones here in anticipation for that same similar aggression. And this is actually relatively smart from Socke.
Yeah. And the Roach War indeed on the way. So, you know, that's going to help itself for the defense. But this is all complete surround. He's going to get cleaned up. But this is by no means Socke down now. He is happy to, you know, just be playing his different game behind this. And Vortix, don't think he really has any indication of it right now.
I mean, Vortix sees that there's no gases on natural, but upon not seeing any major amounts of units come out, the mothership core being destroyed here, he's like, oh, I guess it's okay to drone. And I think Socke played that out relatively okay. Played it out quite smartly. And with the Stargate coming down here as well, I don't think the Stargate's actually been shown.
He saw it, I believe.
He did?
Yeah, he's seen it. He tries to poke at the front here with the Zerglings, but he has indeed seen the Stargate with that scout. So that's very, very good for him. Getting Pathogen Glands behind this as well as Glary Constitution. He should be prepared for any kind of eventuality that would come from that Stargate.
And we have Ventral Sacs on the way, as well as Roach Speed. And with Ventral Sacs and Roach Speed, and now Overlord Speed coming too, could see quite a bit of aggression here. We'll see though, from what Vortix has planned.
Yeah, this is actually a Vortix of old. Vortix used to love going for Ling Roach drops on this map really, really early against Zergs to actually just Protoss against to just catch them off guard. But now he's just doing it here, and it's going to be very, very hard for Socke to actually hold here if it's not gone unnoticed.
And here the Roach production begins. Remember, there's no evolution chambers. There's no really follow-up through this. If this doesn't work, then he will fall behind in Roach upgrades, melee upgrades, whatever he chooses. Hydralisk Den is on the way as well, which Vortix goes in, scouts, sees no evolution chambers, doesn't quite get the chance to spot that third base, but even if he had, it doesn't really change too much here. We're about to see, did that Hydralisk Den get cancelled? It did, wow. Bit of mind games coming out here from Vortix. A bit of mind games coming out from both sides, to be honest.
But I think in the end of things, Vortix is coming out on top, I think. I mean, with these Roaches, as long as he doesn't reveal that many of them to these hallucinated Phoenix, which he just moves them out of the way there as the Zerglings spotted the hallucinated Phoenix. But actually, a fleet of Phoenix, once again now moving across the map here. He sees Overlord Speed as well as all of those Overlords moving in the middle of the map. This is a huge, huge telltale sign. And actually, these Phoenix can stay around there forever dealing the damage.
That's right, and he needs to build Immortals, he needs to build Void Rays, he needs to defend. Cannons are coming down, and now Socke's actually got the best opportunity to defend this. Behind this, we see Spore Crawlers being made in a Hydralisk Den and a bunch of Overlords. All the Overlords that die before they even get anywhere.
Oh my god.
This is just wonderful news for the German player.
It really is. Good force fields as well, preventing any kind of movement forward. He needs to drop right now. Somehow, someway, he's just going to go for it. Helpful Leather, dropping that many Roaches behind this, but I don't think that's enough Roaches. The cannons are there. A lot of Zealots as well as good zoning out from the force fields. It was Void Ray and Immortal pop on out, and this is a great cleanup from Socke.
This is a super good, super easy hold here. From Socke, you can pick up and go take a third base like that in an instant. And now 14 drones are being made. Behind this, there was only 45 drones powering all of this. Vortix opted for a lot. He put a lot of money in this. As mentioned, there's no evolution chambers. Socke has +1. He has +1 attack, that is, +1 shields. He lost hardly anything. The Phoenixes can come out to harass. And behind this, third base has been taken with a robotics bay. This is perfect for Socke.
Yeah. And because of the fact that the Phoenix were only ever killing Overlords in the middle of the map, now they have even extra energy to start lifting up anything they want here. Oh, he picks them all up into the Overlords, but that's not the best idea. Those Phoenix are going to start ripping them apart as well. But it did buy some time for that Spore Crawler to finish, but the Queen does go down.
Yeah, this is not looking good here for Vortix, unfortunately, with the Twilight Council coming in. The upgrades are going to continue through. We have Hydralisk being made here, and only now the Evolution Chambers actually coming in. Hydralisk getting picked off that are loose around the map as well as this Queen, but by the time these Evolution Chambers actually finish with 1-1, you know, Socke is still going to be in the lead with his tech, in the lead with his economy, and in the lead with his upgrades. This is just more than perfect here.
More than perfect indeed. We have 6 more Hydralisks on the way, as well as that speed. But again, with all of these little ones actually being picked off by Phoenix, he's in such a dire spot. Ooh, dear me. Mothership Core doesn't want to be straying too far towards those Hydralisks. Well, he's still mixing Colossi and Void Rays. So this army is slowly becoming ridiculously potent.
It's becoming unstoppable, to be blunt here. With the Roach Hydralisk against Void Ray Colossus, good force fields to split the forces up. I really can't see Socke dropping this game at the moment. He's adding on extra production. He's got his +2 on the way now as well. And with the Phoenixes continue to scout around, it's becoming difficult. We do have the Infestation Pit on the way, which I assume is going to be initially straight for Swarm Hosts. to start to try to take a different approach for this game, but still, the amount of power, the amount of Colossus that are going to be in this game very shortly because of the lead that Socke's naturally gained through Vortix spending too much money on an attack that didn't even do anything, to be honest.
It's a tough spot for him to be in here for Vortix. He's trying to grab back some kind of hold on this game, taking these movements as for now, well, actually, he's going straight into high very, very quickly here. Whilst Templar Archives goes down behind this for Socke, and just using that Infestation Pit for now just to transition on. It's a very interesting move.
To be honest, this is more of a fake out. He's probably just going to recall with this. I don't really see him committing. He's got a lot of extra stuff being completed. Thermal Lance isn't, or only just now finished, +2 isn't ready. Zealot Charge, I mean, if he sees an opportunity to kill him, absolutely will take it, but if things get hairy, which I'm sure they will, then he can recall instantly.
Force fields go down. He separates a lot of those units from the backside of all of this, and really, actually, that Colossus is doing quite a bit of damage, gotta say. The Void Rays as well, not doing too badly. Hydralisk try and come in, but there you go, there's the recall. Those Roaches reinforcements coming along. One poor Phoenix gets left alone. Poor dude.
And, you know, that's just a pain to deal with for Vortix. He had to take a fight. He lost a lot of units. He wasn't building drones. He didn't get that fourth base up and saturated. And behind this, the real fight will be coming very shortly here with +2 finished, more and more Colossus being added on. With that Warp Prism being made here, that's probably going to when we're going to see Socke move out. But actually, as I say that, he takes a fourth base, looking to play it a little bit safer, but taking a fourth base doesn't necessarily mean he'll sit back with it. He can always move out as he's taking it too.
And he's going to commit to Vipers behind all of this as that Hive finishes up. +2/2 going down, as well as Charge now on the way here for Socke and Storm. So, I mean, with that fourth base, he's... I mean, you know, he can play out a big, long macro game. He's still in a phenomenal position to do so, but his army was always going to be so much stronger in this timing. I think even with the Vipers, it would have been hard for him to really get the proper position on all of that.
Yeah, I mean, the Vipers offer a lot, but when there's so many High Templar out there, there's Storms, feedbacks available, I don't think it's going to work out as well as Vortix hopes for. He does have 180 to supply compared to 163, and here comes the real fight, the real movement out here. With 5 gateways finishing up, looks like Socke's just going to clear his fourth, and can always fall back on this fourth if this attack doesn't go the way he hopes, but he's looking for a kill here for sure. Yeah,
that's so many High Templars, so much potential. Just setting up extra little pokes with Zealots on the side so that he can poke straight forwards with this huge army and then try and come in from another angle to just do guaranteed damage as long as Vortix isn't really keeping all of his bases covered.
And look at the minimap. There's Warp Prisms everywhere, Pylons everywhere. There's a Dark Shrine about to finish, which means, you know, even if this attack doesn't, you know, go in his favor, he can warp DTs into the main base, can warp Zealots into the fourth. He can do anything he wants, and he has a fourth base behind this as well. So Socke's just set himself up beautifully.
Oh, 3 feedbacks catch 3 Vipers so quickly. Our pull does go down on one of the Void Rays, but the Storms rip apart the Roach Hydralisk Force, and Socke, he's not up in supply just yet, but still, that was a very dominating fight.
That was just as one-sided as it can get, really. Socke just nailed that attack. He has a Warp Prism ready to warp in DTs into the natural to keep the harassment up. Void Rays remain alive, both of the Colossus as well. Remember, there's always Time Warp to be used in the reinforcements here. Socke is playing a really good game here.
Very strong indeed, denying the fourth of Vortix, just going for that starving style right now, constricting his opponent as best he can, whilst Vortix tries to move into the middle of the map, tries to get a good engagement position on this army, and he will try and go for it, but again, so much energy on the Mothership core, he could easily control this fight.
Yeah, and as always, if it goes wrong, he can recall. The worst case scenario here, he recalls and saves his army anyway. So this is just perfect here for him once again. And he definitely will be looking to kill this fourth base. He's got a fourth base of his own up now. He has +3 attack near completion. Socke has always been a very patient player. Even though there are opportunities to kill your opponent, why would you go in at a 70% win ratio on that fight when you can go in at 90 to 100? And he'll sit back and take that time. He'll take that higher percentage.
Ooh, well, one Colossus did get actually picked off there, but for now he's just going to take the fight once again. Not sure that Hydralisk Roach is going to be able to take out this army as the Storms lay down the smackdown on a ton of those Roaches and Hydralisks. He keeps going for the engagements. I guess he kind of has to because he has no other option.
Yeah, this is every fight that Vortix takes here, he's losing more than he's gaining with consistent harassment in the natural, in the main, and around the third as well. This is just becoming more and more difficult, and he's never able to actually get a fourth base up. He's never able to get the gas required to further his tech to build a stronger army. And with Vortix falling behind in this economy with Socke taking a fourth of his own. This is a long, drawn-out, painful 15-minute fight, because that's all it's been. It's been an uphill battle for a very long time here.
Yeah, Vortix trying to scramble out as many roaches and hydralisks as he can do, but it's never going to be able to take out this very, very strong composition of Socke right now, especially with him 30 supply up. Not even much of that is actually in drones and probes. One of the Colossus does get dragged forward, gets killed off ridiculously quickly, but at the same time, there's still so much firepower here from the Protoss.
Yeah, this is... I mean, like mentioned, it's almost over already with 4-base Protoss against 3-base Zerg with consistent harassment. The army is double in value here as well. And very shortly, Socke patiently looking to kill off Vortix here.
Yeah, we'll get away. Getting the shield upgrades as well here is our Protoss player, just making sure that he can get everything going in terms of the upgrades, just to keep himself very, very ahead. As you said, there's no point him just pushing in when he knows he has the victory at that 70-80% win ratio. He wants the 100% guarantee that his opponent is just going to tap out from the leg lock that he currently has him in.
Yeah, and Hydra Roach is very weak. It's a mid-game composition against a late-game one here, and we're about to see storms come down, raining down onto this army, and with a consistent Warp Prism harassment as close as this game may look in terms of supplies, it's really not. With the upgrades as well, 2-2 upgrades on the Roach Hydras compared to +3 attack on the Colossus here.
And this keeps happening. All this little harassment, these Zealots constantly finding bases, DTs constantly killing off drones and bases as well. 20 workers have died during this game, and I mean, that has been enough really here for Socke to take full control and just constantly power it out. And look at this, Vortix deciding to go for the base trade. Nothing else is really going to take out the army. May as well throw caution to the wind.
And he can, basically what we can just see here from Socke is send Zealots to kill the third and recall back to the third to the natural and just take the fight back at home here. Or even walk back. It doesn't really matter how he gets there. Actually, he doesn't have a Mothership Core at the moment, which is why he's building it probably. As this army moves down, one way or the other, Vortix is looking at a 2-0 defeat here, I think, and Socke will be moving on with his first victory of the tournament in the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship.
Too true, unless something absolutely miraculous actually occurs, but so many DTs and no detection for you, poor Zerg army. Getting roasted up. Blinding Cloud hits a lot of that, so it's denying a lot of the damage, but really not too much. Even Archon's morphing here for Socke as he realizes that this army is going to get completely shredded.
GG.
There you go, GG. Socke takes the first best of 3 of the day here on the main stage. Very, very impressive play from our German Protoss.
Absolutely, and you know, there's only another German player left in this tournament, TLO, so these two hand in hand are going to have to be working hard to see if they can advance through the group. But that's a great start for Socke in a difficult group here.
It really is. So guys, we're going to hand it over to our analysis desk with the Kevins and John.
All right, guys. Well, that was a pretty eventful game. It started off sort of earlier on where Socke was starting to prepare his attack after scouting and seeing that Vortix didn't take his third. But Harstem, we saw the Stargate while it was building. Like, he saw it building. I wonder if he clicked on it because he went for the drops anyway, and we all saw how that went on stream. Why don't you talk us through what happened there?
Well, the drops didn't do a lot of damage, I felt like. He might have killed 1 or 2 sentries, but not enough to... not enough to justify going for drops. If you are going for road drop, you want to do at least some eco damage. He didn't do any eco damage at all.
Yep.
Then he was behind in tech all game, basically. The moment he got Hydras out, Socke almost already had Colossi out.
Well, yeah, I mean, then we went into the more advanced tech a little bit later on in the game, where we actually saw Vortix decide to go straight for his hive and see if he can get up to those Vipers, versus we were talking about possibly getting Swarm Host as an alternative. How did you see that decision working out for him, and what did he make the correct choice?
Well, at that point, Swarm Host was going to be really hard to establish some kind of position on the map. We talked about it earlier. If you're going to get late Swarm Host and the opponent already has a sizable army, it's going to be really hard to get in a good position so you can be offensive with them.
Yeah. All right, guys, so we're going to go into the replay in just a moment, but before that, Rachel Quirico has found Socke.
Thank you so much, guys. Socke, backstage, you told one of our prediction assistants that the best practice is no practice?
Well, that's not actually true, but sometimes you do better if you don't practice at all. Actually, for this event, I've been playing non-stop for the last couple of weeks until the beta went down. But sometimes amount of practice doesn't matter, and you just have a good day, a bad day.
So that break between the beta going down and this tournament was beneficial for you, and maybe really hurt some of the other players.
Yeah, it's possible. Like you having a few days off to like regain some mental energy and stuff can be really helpful. And yeah, we were forced to do that this time.
Well, we have a special surprise for you. Backstage, we have Carmack with another custom-made hoodie. Do you want to explain this?
Well, this is, Socke, this is for you from all the people that watch Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. You sick nerd baller.
Congratulations to the sick nerd baller, Socke. You'll see more games from him today, and I'm going to hand it back to the analysis so we can see the last games that you just played. Thanks.
All right, guys, so we're going to be taking a look in just a second in a particularly crucial moment in the game, round about the 17-minute, 40-second mark. Let's hop into the game here, where we see a massive engagement at the 4th base location. Harstem, what's going on here?
Okay, so we did see 4 Vipers, but Socke was in place with all of his High Templars, nice feedbacks, and then the Storms behind the army, so there was no way for Vortix to retreat. He needed to micro in, then 2 Storms on top of all of the Hydras and the Roaches, and that basically killed Vortix. Then Socke just had to be patient, wait, and Socke played this out perfectly.
Now, that was just, I mean, that was very, very quick. And the Storms, of course, round the back of the army ensured that if Vortix decided to retreat instead of engage, he would have taken even more damage. That was just really nice from Socke. Great positioning.
We talked a little bit about this during the game. Is after that failed drop, you said Vortix was kind of 1 tech behind. And Roach Hydra Viper works pretty well. Like, if that army was just Colossus and no High Templar, then he would have been able to get the Abducts off, the Blinding Cloud would have been much more effective, but once it was Colossus and so many High Templar, it was just too hard to get the Vipers in range so that they were able to get their spell off and really be effective.
Yeah, I feel like if a Protoss has a Colossi Storm Stalker army, that you do need some kind of higher tech, whether it be Brute Lords or Ultralisk.
Well, that's going to be that for this particular series. Congratulations to Socke, who takes the 2-0 victory there over Vortix to start off day 2 of the Intel Extreme Masters. And speaking of the sick nerd baller hoodie that we actually saw belatedly given to Socke out front, we also have a couple of very short clips here of what the sickest nerd baller at the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship can look to receive at the end of the week. Take a look at this. A really nice little preview there. I can't wait to get my eyes on that at the end of the week. We'll see what happens there. Of course, voting, I think, opens on Saturday for that, so keep your eyes peeled. In the meantime, though, guys, our next series is going to be Snoot versus Mana. Pretty entertaining PvZ for you here at the Intel Extreme Masters.
This should be really interesting. We, at least at Katowice, we saw a lot of Mana's PvZ. He actually ended up going out, I think it was against Inertio. Well, oh yeah, you know, you're right. It was against TLO. Yeah, in a 5th game series. And I don't know. Mana's PvZ is a little funny to me. Just based on what I saw of some of the Korean Protosses and some of the other Protosses there, it felt a little offbeat. I'm not sure how to explain that. What do you think of Mana?
I think traditionally Mana's weakest matchup has always been Protoss against Zerg, so he might be a little mind blocked against it as well. Or and he doesn't really seem to know what he was doing in Wings of Liberty sometimes, but I think with Heart of the Swarm that changed quite a bit. I haven't seen him play in Heart of the Swarm, if I'm honest.
Well, he was very relaxed. I mean, earlier on stage, he was walking around joking with the other players. You could tell he was in a really chilled out attitude today, and he was completely comfortable with where he is. So I wonder if that's going to translate into his play a little bit later on.
I think Mana is actually always like that at tournaments, and it's one of the things that makes him such a strong competitor. Is it doesn't seem like stress or nerves really affects him. I've never seen him get angry or upset really. Even at Katowice after he was knocked out at the tournament, he stood up and he addressed the Polish crowd, and it was like, "Thank you for supporting me. I'm sorry I didn't play as well as I wanted to," but he wasn't. He was a solid competitor. He kept his composure, and I expect we'll see that from him at the Intel Extreme Masters World Championships as well.
That's a great attitude to have, of course. Just keep smiling, be here for the game, and a big sign, of course, of someone who just loves and is passionate about what they do. So we're going to be going into Snoot Mana next, guys. Of course, you have free high definition brought to you all day by BenQ. Thank you so much for that, and we hope you guys are enjoying the stream back at home. For now, we're going to hop into a quick commercial break, and when we come back, the next best of 3 here at CeBIT for the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. Don't go anywhere.